The defense will continue to call witnesses to the stand in day 4 of the trial of Christopher Schurr tomorrow. Today, however, Schurr's attorneys called for a mistrial that was denied by the judge. 13 on your side's Julia Gorman joins us now. And Julia, many of the witnesses called to the stand today were or currently are Grand Rapids police officers.
Yeah, Julia, that was the bulk of testimony that was called to the stand. Several of those witnesses working on April 4th, 2022, the day Patrick Lyoya was killed by former Officer Schurr. The major focus of testimony today, the taser in question on that day and police policy.
I do.
6 witnesses, 5 for the defense, were called to the stand Wednesday, the 3rd day of trial in the case of former Grand Rapids police officer Christopher Schurr.
Stop!
Schurr is charged with second-degree murder in the death of Patrick Lyoya after a traffic stop turned into a struggle 3 years ago. Picking back up from the day before and called by the prosecution, Nicholas Bloomfield, an expert witness on use of force, began testimony.
A reasonable officer in this position to elect to use deadly force, knowing that is the condition of the taser, that would be unreasonable, excessive, and contrary to generally accepted police practices.
The use of Schurr's taser was a big focus, and how it may have impacted how the deadly scenario played out. Questioned by the defense,
we are not aware of any case or instance where an officer had a taser that was used against them where they were incapacitated, and also within that same set of circumstances, it resulted in an officer's death where they were disarmed.
The prosecution resting its case, the defense moved for a mistrial and directed verdict mid-morning. Judge Christina Mims denied both.
I am denying a directed verdict.
The defense then called 3 current and 1 retired Grand Rapids police officers to testify. Captain David Siver was the final witness on the stand.
What does the training teach about the dangers of Mr. Lyoya having a grab on the taser?
It's quite uncommon, frankly. We have a few a year maybe where there's an attempt to disarm, but they're usually holstered. That immediately raises huge concern of that's not an attempt to just to swat it away. They're grabbing hold of it and potentially going to disarm you.
The crux of the case for each side to persuade the jury in their favor, Siver said the polar opposite to Bloomfield's testimony earlier in the day Wednesday.
Do you have an opinion on whether an objectively reasonable GRPD officer in Officer Schurr's situation would have been in fear of serious bodily injury or death when Mr. Lyoya started getting up off the ground with his taser in his hand?
I do.
And what is that opinion?
That it was reasonable, that a reasonable officer could perform the same way in that situation.